This is 42-year-old Ryan Cooper. In the early hours of June 18, 2021, Ryan was shot twice in the face while seated in his recliner inside his rural Iowa home. There were no signs of forced entry and no weapon was found at the scene. His 3 young children slept upstairs, undisturbed. At first, investigators believed they were dealing with a burglary gone wrong, but from the moment deputies stepped inside the house, the scene did not behave like a burglary at all. The first version of what happened that morning didn't come from investigators. It came from inside the house, with the 911 call made by Karina Cooper, Ryan's wife. In the call, Karina claimed she woke to gunshots and saw a man in a camouflage jacket fleeing the house. When Tama County deputies arrived at the Cooper home in rural Traer, Iowa, around 4:30 a.m., they found Karina on top of her husband's blood-soaked body in the living room recliner. Ryan had been killed at close range with a .22 handgun. The weapon was missing and would never be recovered. But to understand how Ryan Cooper ended up executed in his own home, investigators would need to trace back months to a secret affair that turned deadly. Ryan Cooper, 42, was a devoted husband and father in Traer, Iowa, a small farming town where he worked the land and raised 3 children with Karina. Friends and family described him as hardworking, family-oriented, and reliable, a man who prioritized his kids and community above all. That image of stability, however, was already cracking behind closed doors. Ryan's sister, the family farm's bookkeeper, testified that by September 2020, Karina had already been removed from the farm's phone plan, signaling an emotional and financial fracture long before the affair began.
How are you currently employed?
Yes, I am.
How are you employed?
I am employed by Cooper Farms, Inc. as the accountant, bookkeeper.
So as the accountant for Cooper Farms, what are you doing?
I pay the bills, handle all the bank transactions, payroll, loan payments, expenses, all that kind of thing.
Okay, could you just explain the structure of Cooper Farms?
It is a family farm business. It's been in the family for several generations. We have we own land and farm that with corn and bean crops. We also do some trucking. We also have livestock and invest in livestock as well.
So the different things that you just discussed, there's obviously some land, there's some cattle, there's trucks, farm equipment as well.
Yep, farm equipment, land.
And is that all owned then by Cooper Farms?
The land is partially owned directly by my father. The farm corporation owns land. The majority, safe to say, all of the equipment is owned by the corporation. There's also a few acreages that are with homes that are owned by my dad as well.
We've already talked about the fact that Cooper Farms owned 1846 K Avenue and some other homes. Did Cooper Farms cover other expenses for Ryan and Karina?
Yes, Cooper Farms paid for usually a portion of their work/personal vehicle because it was used for work. He would not have had any expenses related to property taxes, property insurance, utilities, Also, the corporation paid for the cell phone bill.
Without telling me anything that anyone else said, was there a time based on the business records of Cooper Farms that you stopped, or Cooper Farms stopped paying for Karina's cell phone plan?
The September 2020 bill had her number removed.
Following that date, then, if I understand correctly, Cooper Farms was no longer receiving billing statements including call detail information for Karina Cooper.
Yep, September 9th was the last.
By early 2021, cracks had widened. Karina Cooper, a hairstylist at a local salon, began confiding in clients about marital frustrations, financial strains from farming life, and feeling trapped in her role as a mother. It was in that emotional space that someone new entered her orbit. Around this time, one regular client stood out: Houston William Hank Danker, a 27-year-old single man from the area. What started as casual salon conversations evolved into a close friendship. Karina began cutting Houston's hair at his home, and soon they connected on Snapchat, an app that automatically deletes messages. Their exchanges quickly turned flirtatious, with Karina sharing explicit photos and complaining about Ryan.
Can you tell me about your relationship with Houston?
Danker?
Yeah.
My friend?
Okay. And I'm going to be blunt with you and be forward with you. The only reason we ask is Aaron made mention about maybe Ryan seeing something on your Snapchat. Not that that was Houston, but maybe there was something with your Snapchat.
Last fall, there was a Snapchat that wasn't even meant for me.
Okay, tell me about that.
Supposedly. Ryan saw it, not me. And he told me about it. It was something about a married woman.
Houston positioned himself as her confidant, offering emotional support and hints of something more. What followed was not impulsive, but gradual and deliberate. This friendship would soon spiral into an affair fueled by obsession, jealousy, and plans that investigators described as a calculated bid to eliminate Ryan and start a new life together. As Karina and Houston's messages grew more intimate, their conversations shifted from complaints about Ryan to explicit fantasies of life without him and chilling dehumanization.
And then the Snapchatting, did that kind of coincide with watching the kids, or how did
Yeah,
that?
that's where that picked up. Was, there for a while, Karina, she was just my, cut my hair, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, I started having kids, and she, I honestly needed fucking help, is what and I wasn't telling her, I wasn't telling her I needed help, but I was kind of,
Right.
And then she offered, and that's where I would say that's where the chatting started, the friendship,
Mm-hmm. And then you described it as what, you're her gay friend, or how do you describe it?
The best way I could put it is, just a gay best friend,
Yeah, so,
like when everybody around Traer was saying, oh, Houston's nailing her or whatever, I'm sitting there like, nope,
Mm-hmm. So, are we gonna, and I don't know, if you drink a lot or she drinks a lot, I think back to college, when we would get a little out of hand, like we'd send like a dick pic to somebody or something. Is there going to be anything like that between you and Karina, or anything that you're like, well, look, we were friends, but maybe there might be something that the police might think is inappropriate, but we're not finding anything like that? Okay.
By spring 2021, the focus had shifted to Ryan's $500,000 life insurance policy. In messages to Houston, Karina referred to her husband only as a sperm donor, revealing total emotional detachment. She confided about wanting to leave her marriage, start fresh, even pursue IVF to have children together. Houston reciprocated, calling their bond a soulmate connection and expressing jealousy over Karina's family life. What began as emotional escape hardened into intent. Friends provided haunting foreshadowing. Ryan's closest friend, Brian Morrison, testified that in fall 2020, nearly a year before the murder, Karina explicitly told Ryan, "I could shoot you in the face." Another witness recalled hearing a similar threat as early as 2018. At the time, the words passed as anger. In hindsight, they sounded like warning shots. Digital forensics recovered deleted threads showing Karina sending photos and videos, with Houston responding possessively. Through a combination of device forensics and data recovery, investigators pieced together thousands of messages that painted a disturbing picture. Messages turned darker. Karina wished for Ryan to have an accident on the farm, while Houston mused about taking care of problems. One exchange had Karina asking if Houston could handle it, met with his assurance that he would. By then, the boundary between fantasy and planning had disappeared. Days before the murder, Karina told her teenage son that he could no longer sleep on the living room couch, his usual spot where Ryan would later be found. Prosecutors would argue that she was clearing the kill zone to ensure no witnesses. Investigators also found Google searches on Karina's devices for how to shoot someone without getting caught, and local gun shops, alongside Houston's purchases of .22 ammunition, matching the murder weapon's caliber. Their meetups escalated too: secret drives, hotel stays, and Houston visiting the Cooper farm under the guise of friendship. Everything investigators later uncovered pointed in the same direction: preparation. But the tipping point came in the weeks before June 17th, when messages showed them coordinating alibis and Houston reminding Karina to remember those shell casings, words that would echo chillingly at trial. Armed with a digital trail of obsession and planning, investigators reconstructed the final hours of Ryan Cooper's life. Those final hours would unfold quietly, inside the same house where nothing seemed out of place. On June 17, 2021, Ryan and Karina attended a local event together, appearing as a normal couple to outsiders. They returned home around 8 p.m., put their 3 children to bed upstairs, and settled into the living room. Phone records showed Karina exchanging messages with Houston throughout the evening, including discussions about meeting later. Around midnight, Karina's phone activity spiked. Deleted messages recovered later included Houston's instructions on cleanup. Location data placed Houston's vehicle near the Cooper property multiple times that night, though he claimed it was a coincidence. By then, investigators say the plan was already in motion. At approximately 4 a.m. on June 18th, Ryan was shot while seated in his recliner, execution-style wounds from point-blank range using a .22 handgun owned by Karina, but missing from the home. Only one shell casing was found despite 2 shots fired, suggesting a cleanup attempt where one casing was removed but the second overlooked. Prosecutors argued Karina intentionally rubbed her face in Ryan's blood to mask potential gunshot residue. Blood spatter patterns on her clothing and skin confirmed she was present during or immediately after the shooting, consistent with being in close proximity when the fatal shots were fired. What appeared chaotic was, investigators said, carefully staged. With the crime scene pointing to staging and Karina's alibi crumbling under forensics, deputies shifted focus to her digital life and the man on the other end of those obsessive messages. What began as a baffling home shooting unraveled under digital forensics, revealing Karina and Houston's months-long plot through recovered messages, phone pings, and suspicious searches. Tama County Sheriff's deputies executed warrants on Karina's and Houston's phones, recovering thousands of deleted messages. When confronted, Karina claimed her account had been hacked. Forensics tied the activity directly to her devices. Investigators also discovered that Karina's Snapchat account was remotely deleted just days after the murder, after her phone had already been seized. The messages did not just suggest an affair, they mapped intent. A major point of contention emerged around a one-word message sent in the hours before the murder: go. Prosecutors called it the green light for murder. Karina's defense insisted she sent go to sleep. A digital forensics expert testified those additional words could not have existed or been deleted without metadata traces. Cell data confirmed Houston's phone near the Cooper home multiple times on June 17th and 18th, contradicting his claim of sleeping at home. Phone records showed Danker's device passed the Cooper home several times between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. on June 17th, reinforcing the state's theory that he was surveilling the property before the attack. Karina's Google history included queries like, "Does life insurance pay if suicide?" and "gunshot residue timeline," while financial records showed she received the insurance payout in December 2021. Piece by piece, the theory of an intruder collapsed. A key break came when salon coworkers reported Karina confiding about wanting Ryan gone and praising Houston as her escape. Houston's truck yielded trace fibers matching the Cooper home. Karina's initial interview raised suspicions as her story shifted and she minimized the affair.
Why did you stop cutting his hair?
Because I had and I didn't want him around, and I didn't want that chance of that happening ever again.
Did Houston talk about killing Ryan?
Several times.
Did you ever take him seriously?
No, I thought he was full of crap.
And when the police get there, why didn't you tell them, Houston shot my husband?
I was so scared. I was scared. I was panicked.
More than 2.5 years passed as prosecutors built their case, but in February 2024, authorities arrested Karina for first-degree murder, followed by Houston for aiding and abetting. The evidence proved no random intruder, but a lover's conspiracy. Ryan's 3 children were placed with family members as the case moved forward, spared from further trauma as their mother awaited trial. Nearly 3 years after Ryan's murder, Karina Cooper faced a Tama County jury in July 2025. The case prosecutors presented was built almost entirely from her own words. They used her messages and lies to argue she orchestrated the killing with Houston's help. The trial opened with crime scene photos, the 911 call, and body cam footage, followed by digital forensics experts detailing the recovered messages, including the sperm donor remark and instructions about shell casings. Prosecutors highlighted the insurance policy and Karina's December 2021 payout. Their teenage son testified that days before the murder, his mother banned him from sleeping on the living room couch. Salon coworkers confirmed Karina's confessions of hating her marriage and idolizing Houston. Deputies recounted her inconsistent intruder story versus forensic reality. Forensic reconstruction showed the shooter knelt beside the recliner when firing, with trajectory and backsplatter placing Karina at that position. In early July 2025, Karina took the stand during the trial, claiming Houston manipulated and threatened her into participating in the plot. It was the first time the jury heard her version of events directly. She painted herself as a victim, trapped in an abusive relationship with Houston, who she claimed controlled her through fear and manipulation. But under cross-examination, prosecutors confronted her with her "handle it" message, her hacked account defense, and the "go" dispute. Her breakdown while reading the chats undermined her victim narrative. Ryan's family delivered searing impact statements.
Their plan to murder my brother was just an item on their checklist, just an agenda item on their way to building a dream life together. A sick, disgusting plan to achieve their dreams, but what about my brother's dreams? Ryan dreamed of being a farmer every day of his life. Ryan dreamed of being a farmer like his dad, his grandfather, and his great-grandfather. I was 10 years older than Ryan, and remember so much about him as a young boy on the farm. I remember numerous times he would stand at the front door watching the tractors and equipment roll in and out of our farm, just hoping one would stop, open the door, and motion for him to come out and hop in. As Ryan approached his teenage years, he could not get home from school fast enough during planting and harvest season, knowing there was a seat waiting for him in one of the tractors. After high school, Ryan went straight to working on the farm. He had followed Dad and Grandpa around for years, and now it was time to use the knowledge and skills he had taken in and continue on in the family legacy.
After deliberations, the jury convicted Karina of first-degree murder in mid-July 2025. With Karina convicted, attention turned to Houston Denker. Unlike Karina, Houston would never face a jury. In August 2025, shortly before his jury selection was set to begin, Houston pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, admitting to planning and participating in Ryan's execution. Though he maintained that Karina was the one who pulled the trigger, he acknowledged his role in orchestrating the murder, providing support and helping cover up the crime. His admission sealed both their fates. In September 2025, Chief Judge Lars Anderson sentenced Karina to mandatory life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Several weeks later, in early October, Houston received the same sentence. At Houston's sentencing, the judge called the killing a premeditated execution, ensuring both would spend the rest of their lives behind bars for a murder driven by lust, greed, and betrayal.